Hey everyone, Pastor Jason here with the Bartlett United Methodist Church. I've often heard it said that God is a builder. Based on God's penchant for creating and recreating, I'd say that it's true. And human beings, because we share pieces of God's characteristics, we build as well. As a Boy Scout, I built a little log cabin out of popsicle sticks and a car for the Pinewood Derby. Just a couple years ago, I built a Star Wars TIE fighter out of a Lego set. And while perhaps not building in the conventional sense, I do structure a sermon each and every week. We all build in some form or fashion, but I don't know too many folks who have built a church, and even fewer who have built an entire denomination. But that's why we're talking about one of God's greatest builders, Richard Allen, today on 3-Minute Methodism. Richard Allen was born into slavery on February 14, 1760. As a child, he began attending meetings of the local Methodist Society, which was open to black people, both slave and free. Joining the church at age 17, he began evangelizing and was able to purchase his freedom by the time he was 20. 4 years later, at the conference which established the first American Methodist denomination, Allen was given the right to preach. Now, he did serve churches, but he was restricted to very early morning worship gatherings. Even so, that didn't stop his congregation from growing, and doing so quite quickly. Resentful of the segregation in worship and prayer that black persons were made to endure, Allen led the creation of a new church for African Americans. Converting a blacksmith shop, Allen and the congregation he'd assembled opened the doors of a church that they had named Bethel, which, fittingly, means House of God, doing so in 1794. Bishop Francis Asbury ordained Allen in 1799, making him the first black Methodist minister to carry that distinction. But Allen kept building. In 1816, he united 5 African American Methodist congregations in Philadelphia, founding the independent denomination known as the African Methodist Episcopal Church, the first fully independent black denomination in the United States. That same year, Allen was elected as the denomination's first bishop. And suddenly, my TIE fighter doesn't seem so cool. And still, I am deeply grateful for the witness and work of Richard Allen, a visionary who heard God's call and gave his best toward the building of God's kingdom. That's all we have time for today, but we'll see you next week for another episode of 3-Minute Methodism. Until then, stay holy, my friends.